All right, Panther fans, how's everybody doing? Would you believe it's still August? And yesterday I thought it was the 29th or the 30th. I lost a day. It's this still the 29th. This is the longest summer ever. So do us a favor, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. And
No, I was going to say it does seem like it's dragging, doesn't it?
it is just interminable at this point. There's just nothing going on anywhere. Unless your deal is politics, there's nothing going on anywhere. So, all right. So what we're doing here is we're going over the players one by one. We did the goalies first, and Stu suggested we do the defense next. So that's what we're going to do. So today's video is going over Aaron Ekblad, just a little bit of his history. What Stu and I think we can expect of him this year is going to be very, very interesting. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up his.
This is the pairing that I've been talking about and waiting for 3 years.
Right. Yeah, exactly. All right. So Stu, just confirm. You see his stats on your screen because it's different on mine. All right. So the first thing that stuck out with me is we don't think about it, but I mean, this is his 9th season. The kid's only 26 years old. So technically,
same thing with Barkov.
Yeah, technically, these next 3-4 years, this is actually the prime. This is actually, when he should be at his best. So that's definitely one thing to take into consideration. Now, look at
look at 2017-18.
Mm-hmm.
So he played all 82 games.
Right.
16 goals, 22 assists. The points, if you look at the points last year, he had 57, 15 goals and 42 assists in only 61 games. So that just shows you last year, if he didn't get hurt, he had played another 21 games. I think he would have been a 20 goal scorer and probably 75 points.
Yeah. Yep. Pretty close to that. Pretty close to that. Now, go ahead.
So my point is, if he's healthy and stays healthy, which has been a problem in his career, and having Forsling playing with him, and again, I'm hoping that Maurice puts them both on the power play, that they change up that 4-forward system.
Yeah.
I think Ekblad's good for 20 goals and 75 points next season.
Well, I can't necessarily say I disagree. Now, the first thing is that a lot of people are concerned about, he's had a few injury shortened seasons. And a lot of people are assuming that means he's going to get injured again. I kind of feel like since so many people assume he's going to get injured again, that pretty much locks up the idea that he won't. I think he'll play all 82. And we're going to need him to play all 82. And now the only other thing I noticed is the couple of, this would basically be his third partner, so to speak. He had Campbell.
His third what?
His third partner, basically. So he had Campbell for the first couple of years.
No, he had 4. Willie Mitchell.
Well, that's right. He had Mitchell
and then Campbell.
That's correct.
Then Uyghur, and now Forsling.
No, because you're leaving out Yandel.
Oh, sorry. I left out Yandel. So you're right.
Yeah, we both left the guy.
Now it's 5.
Yeah, so I guess the point there is he hasn't obviously been consistently with the same guy year after year after year after year. It'd be interesting to see how Ekblad and Forsling, that's the assumed pair, but you never know. This is sports. We got a new coach. For all we know, Maurice has got a completely different mindset, and they never see the ice together. But working under the assumption that it's Ekblad and Forsling, I'll be interested to see, because that's one thing we saw with Ekblad and Uyghur was both guys would go at the same time. Instead of one guy pinching and one guy staying back to play safe, they never really seemed to get the chemistry and the communication down of who was going to go and who was going to stay back. So I'm curious your thoughts there. I'm curious how that's going to work out. It's going to be we're going to see some sort of difference, I hope, between Forsling and Uyghur.
Well, I think the first noticeable difference is the lefty-right combination.
Mhm.
And I think, well, I don't think, I know that Forsling is a much better skater, puck handler than Uyghur. Obviously, his hockey IQ is way up there.
Right.
So knowing that Ekblad likes to be offensive minded and even taking the puck in as a forward would, Forsling's going to have the smarts to stay back. I think there'll be better communication. And again, this is what I've been hoping for so many seasons, and now we have it. So I'm predicting big things. And again, if those two guys play on the power play together, I expect both of them to be big point contributors.
Yeah. I'm curious. I'm hopeful, and this is where we get into the weeds a little bit with the rest of the defense, but the number of minutes, that's going to be my biggest thing. And that's, getting into the Forsling video. And I guess we'll do that one next. But, Uyghur last year, a lot of his mistakes, even you and I noticed, towards the end of the games when he was just gassed.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he was, because there was a couple of times you and I were paying attention, and he'd have shifts that were a minute and a half, sometimes over 2 minutes, and he was just absolutely blown out by the end. And I'm just wondering,
that's conditioning.
well, I mean, yeah. I mean, technically, but
I mean, obviously staying on the ice over a minute is, it's a 45-second shift, or supposed to be a 45-second shift.
Right.
Excuse me. The only valid reason staying on longer than that would just be, having the first unit power play on there. So you're absolutely right. A lot of mistakes by Uyghur were made when he was tired. And I'd say the same thing with Ekblad, but
yeah, well, that's the point, is that that's the thing I'm most interested in with Maurice, is how is he going to
manage time?
How is he going to manage the time? Because we're going to have to even that out somehow. I mean, Uyghur was eating a ton of minutes, and especially obviously once Ekblad got hurt. Now, Ekblad's still a young guy, like I said. So, I mean, obviously he can handle a 22, 24 minute a night type of deal. We don't know what we're going to be doing with that second pair. That's subject for another video. And there's hints and rumors and innuendo out there on Twitter that we're going to make some kind of a move.
Still, huh?
We'll believe it when we see it at this point. My experience has been the Panthers don't leak anything. That's been my experience. So we'll see how that works out. But in terms of Ekblad himself, you have to remember, the injuries he's had, it's not like wear and tear injuries, right? There've been kind of freak things. He had the collision with Barkov, and then the year before, obviously, going into the boards there and breaking his leg. So it's not little nagging things where he's got a shoulder that he can't get right, or a wrist that he can't get right. He earned those injuries. So I know technically, if you look at it, you could consider him injury prone. I think he's had some bad luck for a couple of years in a row. And I think that, when he's played, it's not like we've heard, well, he's playing through, a sore shoulder for 2 months that he can't get it right. When he has played, he's been right. So
the only injuries, the only injuries that weren't bad luck were the concussions, getting hit. Especially that the one that I think did the most damage was the one in Edmonton by, I think it was Hendricks, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, he had the original.
If he doesn't get another concussion and he doesn't have these quote unquote freak injuries, good.
Yeah. No, I mean,
If he
we were
if he
absolutely agreed.
plays, we would always hope for him to play a full season, but we'll just have to see. I mean, nagging injury, shit happens, especially with defensemen because they're blocking shots and,
Right, right, right.
but having a guy that's been, and he has been injury prone. So let's just say the number one key factor for Aaron Ekblad this year is staying healthy.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Um,
And for the team itself, because let's face it, when Ekblad got hurt the last 2 years, you put Uyghur and Forsling up there, and it was acceptably competent top pairing. They didn't embarrass themselves or anything like that. I don't think anybody would want to go into the season with that as your, as what you're leaning on as your top pair, but they were good enough. But now without Ekblad, now Uyghur, it could get hairy around here really quick if he got hurt again. So that, like you said, that's the number one thing for him. And then it is also going to be interesting from my point of view, anyway. The culture change, right? That there's going to be some kind of a culture change. Obviously, you've got the new coach, Huberto is gone, his partner Uyghur is gone. So it's going to be interesting to see. We heard a lot about a lot of the talk about Ekblad and Uyghur being good friends, et cetera, et cetera. Haven't heard so much about that with Forsling. So it's going to be interesting to see how that turns out over the season. And then the last thing I got really is when you talk about with Maurice with the minutes, if you go with the 6 guys that we have right now, there's limited options. There's really limited options. And for the most part, I'm set that I want it to be Ekblad and Forsling. And I don't know who else you would put up there, but at the same time, my question mark is going to be Stahl. How many minutes a night can he take for you? Because that's going to affect everybody else. And I just
let's
hope.
Go ahead. Finish your
I just
thought.
hope we don't end up in a situation where we're really burning out, Ekblad and Forsling on that top line, giving them 25, 26 minutes a night, because cumulatively over the season, that's gonna play an effect come playoff time. So what were you getting ready to say?
No, let's take a look at the 6 that I think are going to be the 6 on ice defensemen. So you got Forsling, Ekblad, Stahl, Gudis, Montour, Carlson.
Right.
Unless I'm,
No, that's right
missing
now.
out
That's
on.
the 6.
So what I would do if I'm Maurice, I would have Ekblad and Forsling as my number 1 pair, and I'd move up Montour and Carlson as my number 2, and
Right.
then have Gudis and Stahl
Right.
as my
Yeah.
number 3, getting less minutes. I mean, both of those guys are, I'm not going to say old, but older. Plus, I like
Right.
the fact that having Montour Carlson at the second pairing, getting more ice time, you got Montour, who's, let's face it, he's a very, very good offensive threat.
Right.
Carlson too, but Montour, I love the guy.
Right.
So what do you think about that?
Well,
And that, I'm not going to say it solves the problem.
Right.
With the minutes, but obviously if it's the third pair, they're going to get less minutes than they would be if they were the second pair.
I'm torn, and when I made my preview video, I actually made it Stahl and Montour. But I also then said, look, it doesn't matter. You could mix and match all 4 of them. My concern is how many minutes can Stahl take, and I like Gudis, so I would be kind of disappointed if Stahl can only handle 10 minutes a night, so Gudis only ends up on the ice 10 minutes a night, because that's how many minutes Stahl can play. That's kind of where my mindset is at a little bit, where you know, we don't know what we're going to get out of Stahl. And like I said, there's rumors, innuendo about maybe, it's
Tell me what's out there. Cause
well,
I haven't been
just a couple
paying
of people
attention.
saying they heard something might happen, but there's been no specifics. There's been
Okay.
no,
I mean, we kind of, I think, brought up the fact that the only realistic move would be to move Hornquist
right,
and his 5.5 or whatever.
right.
So, we both don't want that to happen, but it's possible.
Well, it's
Who
the
do
only
we
way to
get?
get any
I would
defensive.
think that we would be looking for a defenseman to come back, a young,
Yeah,
prospect, whatever. I mean, I did see a tweet that brought up the fact that Zito's been really good at finding talent on the
right,
waiver, at waiver
right, right,
time.
right. That's a good point.
But obviously that would mean moving somebody out
They got your
again.
garbage now.
No, just some guy on his, I don't know what they're doing, but they'll be gone in a second, but I can hear
Okay,
you fine.
okay, good. Yeah, I mean the whole waiver thing. I mean, right now there's no room financially to pick anybody up, so I mean that's why most of us think, somebody's going to have to go. Um, it's I don't know how we're going to make it through the entire season with those six. Everything would have to go right. I think that's the thing. Everybody would have to stay healthy, and everything would have to go right. And the hardest part to figure out really is we don't know what Maurice's system is going to be. So we can't, everything that used to be, we can't plug and play that concept with the players that we have now and try to figure out what they're going. We're not going to know anything until we see it on the ice. And most of our defensive mistakes in the last couple of years have been when our defensemen tried to be offensive. And I get it, that's the way the league is going, and I'm not complaining about that. But overwhelmingly, I mean, even Uyghur, most of his mistakes would come when he would try to do too much with the puck instead of just taking the easy play. Forsling
Right,
and
but
Montour do have a tendency to be out of position a little bit, but so it's just going to be
also remember that Ekblad and Uyghur are both offensive-minded defensemen. I don't think you have that with Forsling.
right.
I think Forsling takes advantage of his opportunities. I mean, 90% of the time, Forsling would get to the blue line and throw
dump
it in.
And
It was rare. It was rare for him to do a Mike Matheson.
Yeah.
So in that regard, I think he's going to probably let Ekblad do his thing and just protect the back end, which is something that Uyghur didn't do. If Ekblad was doing his thing, Uyghur was like right there with him.
Right.
And that's why a turnover led into a breakaway. And I don't see that happening with Forsling. That's why I love that pairing. And again, Forsling, to me, is the best defense skater on the team.
Right.
So,
well, is the video long enough to where it's not August anymore? Or is
no,
it
I mean, I could
still
go. I mean,
August?
I don't know what else there is to say.
No, I'm not complaining about that.
But I'm okay. I'm okay with time.
Yeah. All right. So
well,
I have a question. I'm curious about this. This is if because we're all talking about if Ekblad gets hurt, right? So what happens if something happened to Forsling? Who would you want to throw up there with Ekblad?
Good question. Good question.
Under the assumption, based on the roster we have now, you're probably moving Kierstead into the top six at that point, most likely.
Yeah, I forgot about him.
Yeah.
I don't see them putting a rookie up with him. I'm
Right.
going out on a limb and thinking Mark Stahl.
Ooh. Wow.
Ask me
Yeah.
why.
Okay. Why?
Because I think that Stahl playing with Ekblad, Stahl is not an offensive threat.
Right.
Stahl's
Right.
pretty much a stay back defenseman.
Right. Right. Right.
He's a veteran.
Right.
I think that he would let Ekblad do again. I think
Right.
he would let Ekblad do his thing and just stay back.
And just stay
And
back.
again,
Safe.
I'm always looking for the left-right combination.
Right.
Uyghur was the only righty that he played with. I mean, he had Mitchell left, Campbell left,
Yeah.
Handel left.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah.
So, again, we'll see. Kierstead might, I mean, there's a possibility that Kierstead could be the sixth guy.
I'm sure it's going to be between him and Carlson.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
all depends on.
and don't forget Delzato too. We've got a few of these
I-
guys stashed away in the minors because there's no room to bring any of them up. And I know some people think that we're going to play some kind of shell game with putting people to the minors and everything. I just don't see Zito that way. Zito is the guy that will make tough decisions. And as much as we don't want Patrick Hornquist to leave,
I forgot
like I
all
said,
about
yes.
I forgot all about Delzato.
Right, right. I mean, I don't know how much, again, he's got left, but in terms of experience, a guy that can, kind of stay back for you and not screw things up.
So I'm going to
Don't have-
ask you, I'm going to
Yeah.
ask you, and I'm going to ask the viewers, what do you guys think about what I just said? Like I said, I'm going out on a limb there with Stahl and Ekblad. And again, God forbid anybody gets hurt, but I still, and
Well-
Forsling, I don't think's been out too
No,
much,
he's not.
if any,
No,
for injury.
no. I don't remember him being out much at all. Either way, working under the assumption that you'd be bringing up a Kiersted or a Delzato or anybody, that's from the minors, you're going to want to put them on that bottom pair. I think at that point, I guess it depends on how Lucas Carlson is looking too, right? Whether or not he's earned those second pair of minutes, or you maybe you bring him down. And
What do you think?
Dudasov
What
or
I said,
Montour.
I don't know if you answered me, but what do you think about Montour and Carlson or whoever?
Yeah, that's
Let's
what
just
I'm
say
doing.
Montour second pair instead of third pair.
Right. No, I agree with you. I picked Montour to be the second pair. If something happens to Forsling, I think the least intrusive thing would be to at least try Mark Stahl up there on the top. Once I thought about it, I kind of agree with you, but it shows we're in a precarious position. You know what I mean? Everything has to go right. Some of these guys, we got question marks, how much gas they're going to have left in the tank.
That's the key. That's the key with Stahl.
Right.
It's easy for me to say move Mark Stahl up to the first pairing, but then you're talking about 25 to 30 minutes a game.
Right.
Does he have the stamina?
Right.
And conditioning at 30 something?
Yeah.
Do that. I don't know. How old is Stahl?
Oh, let me see. Let me check that out here.
That would be the only drawback for me.
All right, let me see here. I think he's either 34 or 37.
34 is what I say.
Let me see here. Oh, my laptop is too fast for my fingers, and my fingers are too fast for my laptop.
Let's just say for argument's sake, he's 34.
Mark Stahl is 35 years old.
Okay.
He's 35. So,
okay.
Well, I've got his page up. I wonder how many this page doesn't have minutes. This page doesn't have the minutes. I mean, he played 71 games last year. I don't know how many minutes a night he was getting, but he played 71 games. And I mean, it's not like he's been, if I'm going down the list from 14, 15, from 2014, 80, 77, 72, 72, 79, 52, 56 in the shortened season, and then 71. So, I mean, he's played full seasons are pretty damn close to it. So,
Okay,
you know, it doesn't
well,
seem like a guy that's completely, you know, wearing down. He might have enough gas in the tank. And like we said, and I just have this feeling that like, we're making these videos and other people are making content and everybody's guessing what it's going to be. And that Paul Maurice is going to come out day one and leave all of us going, what? Huh?
exactly,
Where
exactly.
what is this guy? I just have a feeling that everybody's going to be so wrong because he's just going to come in and just do, do things completely different, which is the
I
opposite of what he said. Um, but without Huberto and Uyghur now, there's no choice. Things are going to be
I,
different.
I I agree with you. So one thing that I notice about Ekblad in the summertime, he's constantly working on getting better. I don't know how many Instagram videos I've seen. He's got that artificial ice set up in his garage,
Yeah,
and I'm constantly seeing him with 50 pucks, and all he's doing is slap shots,
yeah, yeah.
you know, not one timers, but just, shoot, shoot, shoot.
Right.
So, reason why I'm mentioning that is I want to talk about the power play and how important Ekblad, his role on the power play. So we've had him in the quarterback role, which I think we're in agreement. He's not really quarterback material.
I'd rather
So
have him set up on the side for the one timer.
exactly. Ovechkin Stamkos spot. He scored a lot. He scored a lot and could score a lot of goals if they just feed him for the one timer.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
he's got that egg blast, so we know he
right.
can fire the puck.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's why I'm saying, and I'll say it again, we should have either Forsling and Ekblad, Montour and Ekblad on the point. No, Ekblad in that slot. So who's at the point? Barkov?
no, Bakar, please, no. I got no. I
Okay.
mean, I
So
saw
who's
enough of
at the
that
point?
last year.
Bennett, Reinhardt?
Um,
Because I like
Reinhardt.
Reinhardt. Let's just assume that Hornquist is not going to be on the first unit, even though I think he should be. We need
Right.
someone just causing havoc in front of the net.
Well, don't forget Kachuk too.
Correct. Okay. There you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Forgot about him. How could I
yeah.
forget about him?
Right. Well, all
So
right.
there's some interesting
Yeah,
unknowns right now, and we'll
yeah.
just have to see if we were right,
And
or
then
like
and
you said, Maurice
right.
just totally disrupts things and
Or Zito
comes up
does something where we got to come back in 4 hours and talk about all entirely new top six in the defense. You know what I mean? So,
right.
because
So let's end it by saying my
yeah,
last words are
yeah,
Ekblad stays healthy, plays a full season. He gets 20 goals and 75 points.
75 point. Yeah, we're gonna agree. We're gonna agree there. Absolutely. I think he's due for a full season. You know,
What I'd
he's
like to see
definitely
him do
due.
is work on his defense.
Well, that's tough. And I don't necessarily disagree with you. Um, but remember that's how he broke the leg, rushing back into the boards. Between that and the concussions, I don't know. I'm kind of okay with him not getting too much into the physical aspect of the game because he has gotten hurt multiple times doing that. And this team without him, we got issues on defense. you know,
Okay, so let me get specific. I'm not talking about chasing pucks into the corner. I mean, we saw how Yandel played, avoiding getting crunched.
right,
I'm
right, right.
talking about Ekblad's play in front.
Okay,
Too many goals were scored with Ekblad losing his
right,
guy.
right,
Too
right.
many goals were scored where Ekblad was turned the wrong way.
Yeah,
Too many goals were scored with Ekblad not boxing out, being physical with the guys in front. That's where I want to see improvement.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I can definitely agree with that. There were plenty of goals scored where his man was right in front and he's just letting them just stand there. So yeah, that part we definitely agree upon. So, all right. I think that'll do it. All right, Panther fans, it's still August. We tried, Stu, but it's still August. We're gonna be back in the next day or two with another video, another defensive video. We're just gonna keep doing it. I know they tail off into Panthers talk, but that's okay. It'll be fun to go back and see how all the takes that we were wrong about, especially if Zito makes any more moves.
So guys, in the comments, why don't you tell us who you'd like to see us highlight next? I know who I'd like to highlight next.
Yeah, that's probably where we're going. Yep. Most likely the next
video.
video.
You guys, let's just put it this way. I want to do Forsling next because we think he's going to be partnered up with Ekblad. But if you guys prefer another defenseman, the defenseman now, tell us who you'd like us to highlight. And if we see enough votes, we'll go that way.
Yep. All right, guys. Appreciate all the support. Lots of new subscribers. Things are going good. We're closing in. We only got a few weeks until camp. Let's make it happen, guys. Appreciate it. We'll see you again in the next